Um, what you see here right now is the installation of mosaic tiles from a company called Lunada Bay tiles. Now these are handmade tiles, and they come in a glued to a paper sheet that is really propensive to getting loose when they get wet. So there is a little complication with them, although they're beautiful. That's the only thing that you may need to just get used to it. In other words, in some cases, they suggest to cut with a dry cutter, meaning that you can have a wet saw and you can put a dry or wet blade on it and cut it. Now, sometimes what happens is that these glass pieces, especially in the corners, they shatter. So you may want to try cutting them with a dry setup or a wet setup. The only thing is that you need to maybe put the sheets back again to dry a little bit so the glue will stay on the surface. Now, when you see that piece of tile facing with the paper, that's the actually way it's gonna go, and that's why it's being placed that way. The other ones are just gonna be flipped around. They don't have cuts except for some pieces that are gonna go at the end. So to install these things, there are some different things that you need to consider. If you're installing this on a pre-made casted shower base that you buy, you may want to get a rapid set, thin set, and that's recommended by them for a lot of the tiles. In this case, or if you're going to use it outside in a flat surface away from the water and you want to put heating, you may want to put uncoupling thin set mortar, and that is recommended when you're using it for floors that have some heating. If you are using it in this case, like what I'm going to do it, I'm just going to use with a polymer enhanced thin set or modify with polymers. It's really good, flexible, it's really strong. And I like to work with it. In this case, it's going to be gray color because of what I'm going to use on it. I mean, it will be better for me to use the gray thin set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-cut all the stuff, pre-measure. Place it right there, have it ready, cut in, work in sections of no more than 10 square feet, so I can work really well. And the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and mix the material. Now, it is suggested again to cut with dry cutters, dry saws and stuff like that, other machines or clippers and stuff like that. You may want to use whatever is more appropriate for you. Obviously, use masks and glasses and other things to protect your body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue cutting this thing. I went ahead and cut it with a wet saw, and what I did is I just placed it back outside to let it dry with the sun, so it will be a more perfect, more straight cut instead of having the pieces kind of edged in a different way. Now you can go ahead and use the dry method. Now it's up to you. Just giving you my take on it. So let's continue. Oh, now one more thing, because you may want to ask later on in the video about these materials that I have here. Really cool material. So on the floor as well. And for that I want to show you what I use. The big tile, those white tiles right there, are actually this one called porcelanosa. This is the specification. So I'm gonna place it like that for a second. You can pause it and take some notes. And also for the floor, I use this one. So here it is, you have it right there. That now the name of this type of color is this one. So there it is, you have it. For your reference, maybe you want to have that combination. So there it is. Okay, so now let's continue with the pre-installation of this and the post-installation after. Okay, so now you have the thin set mixed really well. The thin set mortar, fairly soft. We're going to use a V-shaped trowel. This is 5/32 by 3/16, suggested by the company. What we're going to do is we're going to start working in sections that we said. We're going to apply it, we're going to install it, and later on we're going to just kind of top it a little bit with something else. So let's continue. The type of machine that I'm going to use, or the wet saw that I'm going to use, is this big one that I have. Normally use it because since I'm working with 36-inch and other long tiles, big tiles, this machine works for many things. Now you have different blades that you can use for different purposes. In this case I have like a multi purpose blade that has some sort of like a shock absorbent. Anyway, some grooves for that. But the situation with the mosaics is that when you're gonna cut, sometimes the mosaics are too small. And what I did is that I actually got this piece of plexiglass, and right there I split right in the middle. So whenever I'm cutting, the pieces of tiles are not gonna fall on the inside. That's the frustration that you can have. So because I want to make all the cutouts before I start, I want to go ahead and put that, protect my eyes with some some goggles, and then just go ahead and cut them. So that's a suggestion that I give you to avoid a lot of frustration, to avoid any type of accident or something, because sometimes when they get caught on the blade, they just kind of move in an unexpected way. So anyway, I'll show you in a moment how they get cut. So when it comes to the moment of cutting circumferences or rectangles, like in this case for the drain, you want to go ahead and use a diamond blade on a grinder designed for that type of purpose. So you can find them in home improvement stores and stuff like that. Obviously protect your eyes, your respiratory cavities as well, if you're going to cut up the a lot of these things. But let's continue. We're going to go ahead and make the cuts and just present them over there where they're going and see if they fit. Once you have the sections installed, you want to go ahead and tamper them. I'm using this grout trowel applicator to tamper them with. Just kind of give them a little bit of soft touch to their padding. Once you finish with that, you want to let it dry for about 30 minutes. Then continue with the other section so you can remove the paper safely. If you notice, I left this section unfinished because I want to go ahead and take the paper out and do the final adjustments around the drain. I want that especially nice and well finished. So let's continue. Make sure that you have those lines equidistant, like what you probably see here. But that's it. Let's continue. Now that you have the paper wet twice, you're going to use the sponge. Pass it, damp it like twice. Not so damp anyway. You want to make sure that it's kind of nice and brown, like you see now. And you want to go ahead and peel it off after like 30 minutes or so. You want to make sure that you pass it more than once. And once you are in the area where the drain is, that I recommend you to put a lot of attention to it. Make sure that like a few pieces that you see there, they are not under the edge of the drain. That's crucial. You want to make sure that that's nice and symmetrical. I cut a lot of pieces to go around that. So we're going to continue by peeling these ones off and adjusting the top. So what you have, once you have the section finished, and a little section by the drain, takes a lot of effort to make sure that it's nice and level and flush, and the cuts are nicely done. But we went ahead and installed the other pieces over here a little bit ago. Now I'm waiting the sheet to be able to remove it and make the final corrections. You have the possibility of actually doing some minor corrections with these ones, whereas the one with the mesh on the bottom, as far as the mosaics, sometimes it's a little hard to line up. So you have some pros and cons out of it, but let's do the best we can. Let's go. Well, now that you have the tiles installed around the shower, you want to make sure that you let it dry for about a day before you continue doing any type of adjustment as far as the mortar that is around. So What I suggest is to, invest some time in cleaning the areas really well, aligning the little mosaics. Once you take the paper off there, they will be individually, placed instead of the mat that normally comes with all the mesh that is under. So it's fairly easy to align the things once they're there. But just, put some time on it. Let's let it dry, and then we continue with the installation, application of the grout, and the other parts. Once you have the mosaics nice and clean, obviously dry, you want to go ahead and vacuum the areas carefully so you don't pull the entire thing out. You don't want to use a powerful vacuum. But you clean it up really well, use a knife, and then apply your grout. In this case, I use an acrylic base solution to mix it instead of water. So the grout will stay cleaner and without mold or algae after a while. So you want to go ahead and fill all that stuff up. I use sanded grout. That will help a little more for the grip with your feet and stuff. And besides that, you just want to go ahead and buff it, let it dry a little bit, buff it a little bit with a damp sponge, and then continue with the removal of the excess grout that's dry. So let's continue. Once you finish with the application of the grout, you want to go ahead and let it dry a little bit, like I said. Then clean it a few times. Make sure that the edges and the corners and stuff like that don't have too much grout. For that, normally I use a 1-inch spatula. You can use that, or you can use a little wood shim to remove it. If you have a lot of haze or some material, some of the grout was kind of stained on the tiles, I suggest you to use an abrasive sponge like the ones that you use to wash dishes with. Those are really good. Obviously you need to seal this grout because we mix it up with that acrylic, and that's pretty much it. So I hope this video will help you to understand how to work with these tiles. Very good, handmade, little different for the installation, but anyway, they're really nice. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like it. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. If you are, thank you as always. I'll see you in the next one.